Right, so welcome back. I've shown you a little bit about what I was looking at, trying to build patterns in my head and trying to diversify away around the market. And like I said before, I got to a position where I was starting to make a nice income. But mentally, trying to deal with a loss was still really difficult. It would eat me up. Whereas before, when I followed signal providers, I could have 30 trades in a day and 27 of them will lose. But now, because I can see the bigger picture zoned out, I can see potential opportunities and how I should start dictating the market myself. A stop loss was really what hit me. And I had to build a way to say, right, instead of just leaving a stop loss to the next line, do I go with an estimated size of a loss, or how do I find out a happy margin? And how can I make myself a whole lot better in what I'm doing? So, a few things I discovered, and things since then have escalated a bit more. So, I notice certain patterns in my daily routine of trading. At this point, I had built a couple of levels. So I had two kind of strategies to what I was seeing. What I've shown you is like, have a look and have a play for yourself, and you'll figure it out. And I have two levels at this point in my journey where they're based around what I'm showing you, but they're a bit more in depth. And not by much, but they're in depth because I started to pick up patterns. So little things for me was Monday mornings and Friday afternoons. Don't trade them. I just noticed watching the markets and checking at the top of every hour, a Monday morning and a Friday afternoon just seemed to be a waste of time. And also, big high impact news days. So, for example, NFP, non farm payrolls, it's a massive high impact news day. And I remember when I followed signal providers, I had no clue what NFP is. You could just type it to Google and figure it out for yourself. It's that simple. But I didn't care because the people I was following gone NFP today, best day of the month. Right? It wasn't best day of the month. It was always a losing day like every other bloody day. But what I found is when I started to become disciplined, NFP, it was a toss of a coin. It was an absolute toss of the coin. What I found was I'd leave NFP and say it was on a Friday, or say it was CPI, and because that's very similar, and that was on, say, a Wednesday. I would wait the first European London session after those days to deal with the noise. They would deal with all the noise, and when New York opened, you started to get a true perspective, and you were off for a few more days. So I started eliminating lots of these days, and I actually found like I was only really trading 4 days a week. And then as time progressed, I started to journal everything that I was doing. So this is just a random spreadsheet. I journal all my trades now, and I use AI for it. So I literally dictate to it, and I do have a journal platform that I follow as well that monitors any drawdown. So on my level ones, the reason that I have this one particularly saved and easy to get to, because I teach people at the same time, and with level one, in the 4 years now I've been trading it successfully, I was averaging a trade a day up until Trump come into power, and over that time I've had 5 stop losses. Right, 2 of them were down to human error. One, I'd been drinking and I looked at my chart, I shouldn't have done. Another one, I was overtired and I saw something that didn't meet the rules. However, 3 of those 5 were legitimate stop losses. But what you can see is that you don't need many trades. And so I kept this spreadsheet so when I teach people, they can see a month with a legitimate stop loss in. And what I have on there is I dictate to ChatGPT date, the time, the day, the session, the pips I gained on my first trade, and I also have a way to monitor a pullback to get in at a slightly better price. So if you followed signals before, you're probably told to take a trade, 3 setups at the same time, all with the same stop loss, all different targets to hit. That's not how I work. I'm committed to my trade. I'm taking one position and I'm going to allow a small reversal. And I'm just going to look to make a bit more out of my money by taking one reversal. And on average, 50% of my trades hit reversal. And I can back test this all the way back to 1833. But as time progressed, I started to move on, and I was like, right, I'm journaling now. I'm keeping a record of what I'm doing. And that with the help of AI, it's also helped me as well, where I wouldn't trade Monday mornings or Friday afternoons. And I'm like, right, how do I then start to find a way to tweak any other losses out of the system? So level 1 really don't really get losses. With my level 2, if I don't put a bit more of attention to it, level 1 is more of a set and forget. But with level 2, if I don't pay a bit more attention, I stay at certain time zones, etc., I can get caught. I will still be very profitable at the end of the month, but I have to live mentally with those losses that I could prevent. And the way that I started to prevent the odd 1 or 2 losses a month was I started dictating to ChatGPT. And I would just say, right, these are the trades that I've taken. And they were like, give me more data, give me more data. So I just started back testing further and further and further and further. And with my strategy, I back tested all the way to 9/11. Right? I picked a few random years back in like 1900s and 1800s and whatnot. But predominantly, I back tested it all the way back to 9/11. And with all that information, it said to me, right, don't trade Mondays or Fridays. Okay, right. It's fine with me. That's only 3 days a week I need to trade. So I've started trading that way, but then it's also saying, well, don't, if you're going to take a loss, your losses are so few now. If you are going to take a loss, more likely it's going to be on a Wednesday, right? But if I look at my trading all the way back over the last year and up to 9/11, actually, the losses are so few that AI is just trying to improve it more. So it's a great tool to have. The other thing that it would say to me was, look, don't trade any high news events. And you're more profitable on the 10 o'clock, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. candle Greenwich Mean Time. So really, I'm only trading 4 candles, pardon the pun, 3 days a week. And the returns are insane because AI is helping me. It's not trading for me, but it's helping me to dictate, look, how can I become a bit more successful and iron out any slight losses that's going to affect this. If it was a case that you could fully automate it, which you can't, then it wouldn't be a problem because automation doesn't have emotions. But with human beings, we have emotions. When you work hard for your money, you don't want to give it away. I appreciate I'm used to giving it away from how I started with trading, but I'm always looking to improve. And even to this day, I'm still journaling everything that I do because the more information I give AI, the better I am. Another little trick that I do is if I do take a stop loss, which is very rare, I will predominantly not take the next trade, right? And what that does is that just breeds discipline into my brain to say, I can stay out of the market. And that was one of the key things for me to actually really start to become successful. So if you're enjoying this, subscribe, like and share. There's a link in the bottom there to communicate with our general chat group. And I'll do one more video just about, look, how can you just take it a little bit further with the psychology of things, because building a structure and a way to trade is very simple, right? Stick to one method, but the problem with it is what goes on up here in between the ears. That's a dangerous, real dangerous place. So thanks for watching.